Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer those questions. There's a lot going on here. So, for those of you who are in Florida, especially on the west side and the Gulf, please make sure you're preparing the hurricane. Hi there, Oret. It's nice to see you. The hurricane is coming in, and the important thing, the priority is that you are safe, that you're prepared. So, just make sure that you're getting ready to hunker down because I see it's coming hard and fast. Now, I am here to answer questions today. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I can answer your questions. I see a number of you coming in. Hi there on TikTok, hi Instagram, and on YouTube, Facebook. Go ahead, put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer those questions. Now, here's what I have to say. The exciting information I have. We've gotten approvals on a green card that came in the mail without any kind of interview scheduled. This was a marriage based green card, and it came through in the mail in 10 months without an interview. So while I wait for questions to come in, let me just tell you one very good tip here. And this is why my clients are winning is when we're submitting applications. Hi there. Thanks so much for that. Congrats. We make sure we submit a detailed, thorough application with everything that is there and needed for the officer to make a decision. At least what we are trying to do on our end is anticipate everything that the officer is going to want and make sure that it is there. Same with interviews. Even if you're scheduled for an interview, make sure that you don't try to just go to the interview and wing it. Make sure you know that you have everything, try to anticipate everything that is going to be requested at that interview and have it ready. So, this is where it's very important to have an experienced immigration attorney on your case because I've been through so many of these that I anticipate exactly what they will need, right? So, make sure that you follow that tip. Why I say this is because I will see here, and in some cases, I do consultations with people who are having problems later on in their process. They're getting really intimidating requests for evidence, or they had a very bad interview experience because the application that was submitted from the get go was not complete. And sometimes people do this because they think the important thing is to file it, file it, and then we'll deal with the rest later, right? But that is not what you're supposed to do, okay? You're not supposed to file anything that is, don't go ahead and file anything that is not complete, that is not well thought out, because it can create problems. For example, at the beginning of the process, when you're just married and you're filing these documents, when it is sent in and an officer reviews it, and they see that it's what we call a skeletal application, meaning you just thought it was really important to file it and then you worry about what they ask for later, right? Um, what will happen then is the officer is going to form an opinion about your marriage. They're going to look at this application and they're going to think, this doesn't look like the real deal because they did not include all the documents that were required to show that you had a bona fide marriage or a bona fide relationship. So, this is where it's very important to make sure that you don't take it for granted and submit only a skeletal application, which means only your marriage certificate, only your birth certificate and proof of your spouse's citizenship, that you are including every bit of evidence that you can. That's what we've been doing. That's why we're so successful, and that's what we have done in our current client's case, and they're going to be very happy now with that result. And it was a hassle free experience for my client. So that's it. Now I want to jump to questions. I really want to focus on your questions because I was out most of last week. So I want to get to those questions. All right. Hi, is there a fee to pay for VAWA I-131 and I-485? No, there's no fee. After April 1st, they got rid of those fees. So that makes it so much easier for my clients that there's no fee there, right? So for VAWA, there are no fees for work permit, travel document, I-485, and the VAWA application. There's no fees. My I-765 was approved 10 days ago. How long till it gets sent out? So I usually see it within a week to 2 weeks after. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Hi there on Instagram. Hi, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for joining. I'm coming on here answering questions. So I thought I had you live on Instagram, but I did not. So I want to share with you, we have a victory today, a marriage-based approval in 10 months without an interview. And I was just telling my friends on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok that this is because we prepare a solid application with details. We don't submit skeletal applications. Thanks so much, Bonafide Libra. Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to get back to questions because I really enjoy your questions. All right. Put those questions in the comments. How can I go about to get a work permit in the DMV? So you don't get the work permit at the DMV. You get the driver's license, but usually the DMV wants your work permit and social security to be able to issue that. I receive a work authorization notice. How long should I wait to get the work? To get the work card, it can be anywhere from 3 months to 12 months, just depending on the application you're filing. How long would it take if I sponsor my mom? You're a citizen. I would say it can take anywhere from 4 months to 12 months. If your mom is in the US, if your mom is outside of the US and has to do it at the embassy, it's going to be about a year and a half to 2 years. How long does a work permit take? 3 months to 12 months. So family-based and marriage-based, 3 to 6 months. Other applications, it's going to be, I would say, 6 to 12 months. Hi, I've been 6 years in the US, got here with a tourist visa. Can I apply for asylum? Thanks a lot. Now, if you have been here for more than a year, you usually have to apply for asylum within 1 year of your entry. However, if circumstances have changed in your country that now make you eligible for asylum, it's time to give us a call. That's possible. But we have to understand what your facts are. So you're saying build all evidence, then place the application. Now, keep in mind, this is where, in a nutshell, no, it's best to do that. I understand sometimes you have to balance deadlines with filing deadlines, with also completing a good solid application. Sometimes if you say, for example, and this is where it's much easier to make sure you have a lawyer, right? Because these are the things we worry about. We don't let you worry about that. But just to tell you here where I'm coming from, if you are filing a marriage-based application or family-based or a T visa or any kind, the T visa is a bit more complex. But if you're filing, say, a marriage-based application, um, you don't want to be putting just any old evidence in that application or very little evidence and think you can catch on later. Because what's going to happen is when they look at that application and they barely see anything in there, they've already formed their opinion about the marriage. You don't want to go into a hostile interview because the officer now looks at a very scanty application and says, this definitely this couple looks like a fake couple, right? You don't want to have to be going in having them assume you're guilty of marriage fraud, and then you have to reverse that, because that can be very stressful in an interview. And keep in mind, sometimes it can just end really badly, even though you had the best intentions. So if you don't want an interview, you want your green card in the mail, it's much better to take a little time to hire a lawyer, because you're never going to hear me say do it on your own. Hire an experienced lawyer to get this done and get it done properly, so that you won't have to go to an interview, you won't have to deal with stressful hour fees, you'll get your green card in the mail and move on with your life. So, and that's where I come in as the attorney. That's what I do for my clients. I sit down and we and my team make sure that we have everything solid, and then we file it. But it's a balancing act. For example, if my client's asylum application is, if we don't file it today and the deadline is tomorrow, but my client came to, and this did, in one of the cases, this did happen, where my client came to me. They had a week left to file an application. Asylum applications, we have to get declarations, we have to get evidence, we have to do research, we have to do legal research, we have to attach a cover letter and a brief. But guess what? This client's deadline was going to be in a week. And we had to get this done quickly and then submit the asylum application first with just the required evidence, which was not a lot. But afterwards, we added to the supplemented, what we call supplement the application. And that was because we had to balance, right? We had to find that balance, because if we didn't file on time, our client would face a denial. And that is much worse than submitting a skeletal application. So it's a balancing act that we as attorneys should be worried about. You shouldn't have to worry about that. Please talk about emergency advance parole. So you can use the tools in USCIS to file for an emergency advance parole. Once you do that, they're going to call you, contact you, schedule an appointment for you to come in. They're going to ask you for proof of the emergency. And then I would say this can take anywhere from a few days to even a few weeks if they end up calling you back or delaying your application because you forgot to carry evidence of the interview for the emergency advance parole. Usually it's a really simple process, and it's done at the field office, where they'll call you in and process your request there as long as you qualify. What if you don't like to take pictures? Okay, but if you don't like to take pictures, you're a married couple, you must have other things that you do together as a married couple. It's not just about the pictures. I would say pictures are cherry on top, right? But say you have joint bank statements with active transactions in the bank statements. You have a car insurance together. You have a car together. You are on the joint lease together. You have, the having a child together is really solid evidence. But say you don't have a child together, but maybe you have evidence that you live together. You're both on your stepchildren's school records. They're going to look at that, and they're still going to see that it's a bona fide marriage, even if you don't have pictures together, right? And then another thing is, okay, you don't like taking pictures together, but isn't this a really good reason to start taking pictures? Is this process? So just find that will and take a couple pictures. What's the cost for the consultation? $150. How long after I-130 is approved do you get passport? So if I-130 is approved, usually it's sent to the embassy. If you're talking about at the embassy, I'd say the same day or even a week or 2 weeks later. How long would it take if if you sponsor your mom? I answered that. Um, RFP for T visas and 4 months is nothing the notice. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, so response for RFE was sent in 4 months and nothing. So that is a possibility, and they could just be processing it. It could be their processing times right now. It really is a waiting game. Um, where in the US is your office? We're in Florida, so Boca Raton. We also are in Delray Beach. So, but keep in mind that we represent clients all in all 50 states and around the globe. Um, How can I engage you at this stage? Schedule the consultation, then we'll talk about your facts and see if you qualify, and then we'll go ahead. We send you everything you need, your retainer agreement, the invoice to start, whether you're starting on a flat, all of our fees are flat fee, but we do payment plans as well. So we send you the invoice for the first payment and then get started. What happens if you get a notice that card was mailed to me, but it was delivered and USA said they're unable to respond at this time? I'm so sorry. That is frustrating. You may have to apply for a replacement if you can't find it. How can I get a work permit in the USA in the care industry? So it's not that simple. And this is where a lot of my clients end up being victims of trafficking, because people will tell them they're going to get their work permit and trick them into coming to the US. And when they come, they end up working in unwilling situations and they end up being labor trafficked. So be careful about that. So what you need is a work visa, and it depends. It may be a H-2B, it may be an H-1B, just depending on the type of position you're taking. Which platform can I pay for you to pick up my case? Call our office. Let me see if I can put up the ticker so that you can go ahead and call the office. So it's gonna go across the screen right now. Go ahead and call that number that's going across the screen. I don't know if it's on Instagram. Oh, I thought it would show up on Instagram, but it's 405. I'll add it here, 561-405-4889. Oops, oh, wrong button. Let's see if I can fix that. Oops. Okay. I ended up hitting the wrong button. So let me get Instagram back on. Okay, I think I'm back on. Okay, so I'm under immigration lawyer Sharifa. I'm just trying to get both screens. Okay, so I think we're back online. All right. And let me see here. Do I have? All right. How long you take to prepare documents for T visa? So it depends on the case. What I say is we work as quickly as possible, but keep in mind the T visa it's not a situation. I don't want anybody coming to me thinking I'm running a McDonald's drive-through, right? I provide quality representation, and this T visa takes concentration, constant review, constant collaboration with my clients. So while we work very quickly, it depends because there are follow-up actions that we need to take before we file it. So this is where give us a call, schedule your consultation. The important thing is, do you qualify for this? If you do, get in touch with us, schedule a consultation, let's talk to you. And then once we hear about your facts, what's involved, we can give you a better timeline on filing the case. It takes us a few weeks to do it, but it just depends. I received I-765 fingerprints completed. How long for answer? So usually it's hard to say how long after you get the biometrics do you get the document. I-765, though, I would say anywhere from 3 months to 6 months for family or marriage base. And then for others, it's 6 to 12 months. If someone overstays F1 visa and has a citizen spouse, can adjustment of status be applied? Yes, absolutely. Yes. F1 does not stop you from doing adjustment. An overstay of an F1, that's a student visa, does not stop you from applying for adjustment of status through your citizen spouse. What date is USCIS at for priority dates? Since there's a backlog, go to the National Visa Center. I'd have to check myself. What's the cost to do the ITIN? So we are launching our program, and we are going to, so I'm telling you this early because you're here, but we are launching our ITIN program hopefully this month. And the fee right now our fee is $1,500, but we are going to launch a discount program for those who join us early. So I'll send out an email. So if you go to the go subscribe and to our newsletter, and then once we send out the announcement, you'll be able to see what the discount is. But there's going to be a discount for all those that engage us as soon as possible, probably by the end of the year, to get their ITIN. So that's exciting. How long after getting married in NY can I file paperwork? There's no rule that says you can't file right away. You can file right away, but is it advisable, right? If you have your evidence already laid out, then you're good to go. If not, you want to take some time to put that evidence together, because that's where you're going to have the success. My visa was canceled in 2016, now married to a citizen. Do I need a waiver? If your visa was canceled because of a immigration violation, like misrepresentation, fraud, if you were expedited, if you went through expedited removal, I know it's more than 5 years, but if you went through expedited removal, it's been more than 5 years, then likely not. But we have to talk to you to figure out if you need a waiver, because sometimes it's canceled for bigger reasons, and we need to understand those bigger reasons. How long does it take for I-824 approval, as my daughter was a derivative on my VAWA, but she's in Jamaica? So we're seeing about a year and a half for that. So it is long, but just hang tight there. Can you switch from consular processing to AOS? USC, do you have to wait 90 days before filing? So it's always advisable after entry to file after 90 days after entry, just because if not, the officer can presume immigrant intent, and that can bring along with it misrepresentation or fraud charges. So you want to be careful with that. How long can a case for a minor in another country be actively reviewed? It's been 1 year and 2 months. That's where you always hear me say, don't hold your breath, because that does not mean they're reviewing it for a decision tomorrow. It's hard to say. It depends on what the case is. Now, I live in the UK, would love to get a work permit for the USA. What's the best way to go about it? You'll have to apply for a visa. not a work permit. Work permits are only for those who are already here in the US. If you're not here in the US, you have to get a work visa. That's going to be H-1B, H-2B. It's going to, I know you have visas, you have the green cards, that you can apply for too. So it just depends. Hi, Madam USIS received my RFE response 5 days ago. How long till they respond? So usually if all is well, sometimes with the RFEs, you just get your answer. You just get your decision. Sometimes it can take a while. So it just depends on what the decision, what is it about. RFEs can differ. How long in a T visa is a T visa to be processed? So it can take 12 to 18 months for it to be processed. But keep in mind, right now, that's what we are working overtime on. We're submitting work permits for our clients so that, because under the new system, they are issuing work permits while they wait for this processing time to go through. So that means that we could see work permits coming within months, hopefully, fingers crossed, because this is a new process. So, which means that we have to wait and see first. We have to learn as we go to see what their processing times are, but we're not wasting any time filing. How long does it take to bring family members abroad through derivative T visa? So, it can take anywhere, based on my experience, as long as there's nothing holding them up at the embassy, it's within a matter of weeks, weeks to a few months for them to join you here. So it's sort of like scheduling a visitor's visa. So what we do for our clients is, as soon as they're approved, we go ahead and we file their visa application with the embassy, and then we schedule the interview. And the interview, it's like about a 2-month wait for the interview. And then once the interview is complete, usually our clients get the visa within a week of they go back and pick up their visa at the embassy. I have a friend, he's on the H-2B program, and his employer sometimes don't pay him for a month or two, and he still work. He has to work. Can he qualify? This, while I can never say confirm that, your friend needs to contact us. This is a classic red flag for T, definitely. So this is where it's important to give us a call and let's get started. That makes me very excited to see that, not because, of course, he's not being getting paid, but I know that he has the ability to get relief so he can get out of that frustrating situation and enforce his rights, right? By the way, when I say enforce rights, I don't mean anybody's going to be getting in trouble or anybody is going to be investigated, but it just means that your friend can get freedom. Your friend can walk away from that, get the work permit, get a new status here in the US, and go live and work anywhere he wants to without somebody dangling the H-2B visa over them. Because I know that happens with some H-2B employers. They're doing this to people, and then they're dangling the fact that they control their H-2B. Can you tell me more about the diversity visa program? So it's available for some countries. You do have to register for it. And if you're selected, then you have to wait for them to process the visa. And then it has to be done by a certain timeline. If you don't make that timeline, then it means you can miss your opportunity to get it. But that's just about it that I know on the diversity. We don't usually work on the diversity visa program. We don't sign people up for it. If you're on an H-2B visa and your employer says they put in your extension, how can you know yourself that is true? How can the visa holder find out for themselves? So you can request the I-140 receipt notice or the I-129 receipt notice. So when they file the petition, they have to file certain forms and then they get the receipt notice. So if they file the extension, they're going to be able to give you an confirmation. Is Trump going to deport people even though they got their work permits through marriage? No. So if you have a work permit, they can't, no, unless it means you have a process going and nobody's going to come and deport you while you have your process going and you have your work permit. It means you have work permits, mean you have a permission to be here and permission to work here. So it's very unlikely that you are going to be deported or targeted with a work permit. This is where I do say get on it. Make sure, see what you qualify for, because that puts you in a much better position. Okay, what prevents DOL or USCIS from seeking out your employer or abuser after you file, and how do they protect the victim from retaliation? Now, this is where I say it really is on a case by case basis, because in some cases, in regards to DOL, my clients do want justice, right? And then in other cases, they have made the choice that they don't want to necessarily go after the employer for what has been done to them in the trafficking situation, but rather they would like the DOL to support them in the T visa certification process. So yes, the DOL, it is their decision as well, and it depends on the severity of the situation. Nothing necessarily prevents the DOL from using their own discretion. However, in the process of investigation, in the process, if an investigation is going to occur, they still do protect your confidentiality. That's how they protect you, through confidentiality. And the DOL does also consider the circumstances. What if you're the only employer there? In those cases, then I mean, in many situations, DOL just focuses on the certification first before anything else. But if you're the only employer there, then the DOL does understand that that is a compromising situation. And then they make decisions in your interest as well, based on the circumstances. So I'm very experienced working with the DOL on that, on those kinds of concerns. But really, it is on a case by case basis, because we do have cases where our clients they want justice. We have cases where our clients want to focus on the T visa, and we reach out to the Department of Labor for support for certification on those T visas. But it all depends on the facts. This is where it's important to get in touch with us, because the way you can start is DOL, USCIS. Yes, it's on a case by case basis, but we are here to help our clients through the process, and help our clients make decisions. We represent our clients and make legal decisions on the best interest of our clients, and it's all confidential. That means that we have a privilege where we have the obligation to keep information that you tell us confidential. So this is where you start with the consultation. Let's talk about your facts first so I can better understand them, and then I'll be better able to tell you what to expect in the process, if a Department of Labor is even going to be involved. Now, when it comes to the USCIS does not do the investigations. As a matter of fact, it's against the law for USCIS to call an employer or an abuser and ask them questions about the application, or bring to their awareness that they're processing an application related to you. that's a violation of the law, right? So USCIS does not see that as their responsibility, but that is why they have the process in place, right? To keep it confidential. But if you do need to work with other agencies, because it's not just DOL, it could be other agencies. If you do need to work with them, each agency does have their own protocol. And I work with those agencies and represent my clients before those agencies. So this is where it's very important to contact us and talk about your facts so I can better advise you. As you can see, I love talking about this, so I can go on and on. But the important thing is, if you want to understand how this is going to affect you, if at all, you need to contact us and let's talk. My T visa was applied before August 28th. How do I apply for bona fide to get a work permit? We're submitting the work permit separately with evidence that our clients have a pending T. I submitted I-914 application without legal representation, got receipt notice in March this year, and completed biometrics. I'm concerned of what's going to happen next. So you might get a request for evidence. You might get your decision next. So after biometrics, then usually it's the decision or a request for evidence before the final decision. These are awesome questions. How long after applying for a T will I get my work permit? So usually after approval, but we are in the process of going through a new system called the bona fide determination process. And that allows you to may possibly get that work permit earlier. We're hoping within months. So that's how you can possibly get the work permit earlier. Please, do I cancel my asylum since I applied through marriage for 2 years? They asked me to provide evidence of physical, and I responded, and they replied they have started working on my papers. So it's hard to advise on that because I don't know your facts. But once you get your green card, there would be no need for an asylum application to go forward. But you want to make sure that you get your green card first. How long does the divorce process take when both persons are in separate countries? I am not a divorce attorney, so I wouldn't be able to help you with that. I paid for my green card, went through process, was approved. USCIS claims they mailed me the card, but USPS website shows they never received the card from USCIS. So if you can show that, then you can apply for a replacement without paying for the fee again. So let me see more questions. They messaged me this morning. I had a conversation. Then I'm not sure what that question is anymore. After my biometrics is done, why is approval taking so long? The whole process has been more than a year. Boy, I tell you, I think it's just they're all backed up, and it depends on the processing times at the office. But that's our life in immigration. Basically, everything takes a little longer. What could happen to spouses of U.S. citizens who applied for parole in place if Trump wins? So let's fingers crossed, more than fingers crossed. Those of you who are watching, you're U.S. citizens, you're going to be citizens and you've registered to vote, go vote. That's how we're going to prevail here. That's how we're going to protect our family members, our friends, our employees. That's how we're going to protect them, right, from this happening. But what I can say here is, he does have a mass deportation. He has pledged to do mass deportations, right? But if you have something pending with the USCIS, that could possibly be an advantage because it means that if you have this process, you stand to win here, right? I would say this: you're better off having a pending process than not having anything else. If you don't have anything pending, then what is there to stop you from being removed, right? They can just pick you up at any time and send you home, right? That is the reality of it. No, if they, what I would say here is, if I'm going to use my professional predictions, if Trump came in, this parole in place was established at the discretion. It's not established by statute like the T visa is, right? The T visa is by statute, asylum statute, marriage based green card process statute. Parole in place is based on the discretion of the president, it's based on executive order. That means that if a president comes in afterwards, he can use his discretion to terminate it. So he's not obligated to go to the court and keep fighting for it in court. He will come in and get rid of it. And once he cancels the parole in place, then anything is possible, right? But we'd hope not, right? Anything is possible because he's canceled it. You no longer have a case pending. So it means that that the that could happen if he starts to do carry out his policy of mass deportations. But let's hope that does not happen. Let's all who can participate in the process to get this done. And I would say this: don't let it stop you from applying, because it's better to, as I said before, it's better to have something pending than nothing at all. For how long emergency advance parole valid? Do we have to travel? They'll tell you. So they'll tell you how long you have. I filed the I-751 on May 2023. I got the 4-year extension. Do you think I should file N-400? If you qualify in every other way, then it's possible for you. Whether it's advisable, I wouldn't be able to say until I talk to you in a consultation. But I would say that is permissible, because what they do is they may just schedule a dual interview and then make a decision on both applications there. Does the information you on the DS-160 consider when applying for a green card, like the previous? Yes, yes. That's why don't misrepresent any facts on your visa application. That's the DS-160, because they do look back at that, and if they see something that's false or that you omitted something, they will hold it against you in your green card process and find you for misrepresentation. So please keep that in mind. What happened was they have not answered me through asylum, and I applied through marriage, and they asked for evidence of physical. So I'm not sure if physical is that medical. If that's a medical, then you're right on track. They might just give you that green card in the mail. If someone came on program but overstayed their visa, what's the way to a green card? T visa could be a way if you qualify, and this is why I never stop screening for the T visas, because I have interviewed my clients who came in on H-2Bs, and either by the H-2B employer or after they overstayed, they ended up in a bad situation and were labor trafficked. And that has resulted in them getting the T, and then from the T, they can get the green card. Is it a case where H-2B holders pay tax for real? So yes, H-2B holders are obligated to pay taxes. I mean, it depends on the length of time that you're here. There are tax requirements that you have to meet. But for the most part, yes, tax is withheld, but it depends on how it's being done. So, for example, if the employer is taking cash from you and they're not itemizing what they're taking from you, they're just saying it's taxes, it's time to talk to us more and let's see what's going on, because sometimes traffickers do that. I have VAWA, year and 3 months biometrics done, prima facie determination letter on hand, no request for evidence. That's good. If you haven't gotten a decision, just get ready for anything. You may get a request for evidence later on. it does take 2.5 to 3 years to make a final decision. So even though you get a prima facie within a month or two of applying, it doesn't mean they're going to approve it. It just means that they did a quick look over, they believe you have everything that they need to make a decision. But if later on they do a more detailed review, they need something, they're going to let you know. Question: is leaving the scene of an accident a moral turpitude crime, even though that charge were dismissed? It depends on the facts. We'd have to know more if it was. Now, deferral, keep in mind, yes, deferral, whenever you have issues like this, get an attorney, because they can still find a crime if, say, before they dismissed your case, they made you plead guilty. So they'll say something like this: plead guilty, then we'll hold that guilty in place. We'll give you a chance to, like a year of time to show that you're not going to get in trouble again. And if that year passes, we'll dismiss it. For immigration purposes, that's still considered a conviction. Now, if they did that without making you plead guilty, then that's considered no conviction. So this, just to show you how the law can be complicated, and the way we interpret it depends on the facts. So when you have a conviction, they're going to look at it differently and could possibly look at it as a crime, a moral turpitude crime, just depending on the severity of the crime, versus they don't see a crime at all because there was no conviction, right? So this is where it's important to get in touch. All right. I'm just going through questions. What's timeline to get work permit with VAWA? 6 to 12 months. Can a pending asylum apply for EB3 visa? It's unlikely, unless you're still in status and you can meet all the, you're still in status, your priority date is current, then maybe. Does the work permit come with travel documents? Marriage-based case, not automatically. You have to apply for the travel document. So if you didn't apply for the travel document, when you're applying for the work permit, it's not likely going to be on that work permit card. What is a way to get straight if you overstay? Follow me and you will learn all those ways. So you heard me talking about VAWA, you heard me talking about the T visa, you heard me talking about asylum. Those are some of the ways. Yes, because after you overstay, then it really does take extra evaluation to define those options for you. What you can do, the best thing you can do, is give us a call, schedule that appointment, and then we can talk about your facts and see what's best for you. I've been married 5 years and just got green card. How long do I wait to file for citizenship? If it's a U.S. citizen, 3 years. How hard is a renewal of conditional residence if my spouse doesn't live with me? Do you qualify for a waiver? If you qualify for a waiver, then it can be done. Now, a waiver is based on divorce, based on mistreatment, or based on extreme hardship. So get in touch with us. Let's talk about what your circumstances are and figure out which one would work best for you. If you had I think that's N400 interview scheduled, then you receive a letter saying they canceled the interview. So to get citizenship, you need to go to the interview. So they're probably going to reschedule it. Can a kid who overstayed in the US, can they fly within the States? The risk is not zero, but yes, it's possible to fly in the US as long as you have a valid ID to get on the plane. If I get an A number, can I use the A number on my I-9? No, the A number is not for anything. The A number is not to be used as a substitute for the SSN. So that I-9 is gonna come back showing that that's a false number, and you don't want to be in that situation. You definitely don't want to be in a situation where you're putting false information on an I-9, because then they can hold you for misrepresentation or fraud, and you don't want that either. Roro, give us a call. Let's talk. Let's talk about your situation. It sounds like there is something you're worried about, so let's talk about it. Can you apply for a T visa without overstay? Yes. There are some considerations to keep in mind, right? Once you leave the country, you are compromising your eligibility for T visa. So you have to stay. But what that means is that when you apply for this T visa, while you are after while you are in status, right? There is going to be the chance that that T visa, the likely chance that T visa is not going to come until you overstay. So you have to think about that. You know, whether that is worth it to you, whether it's you don't have a choice but to apply for the T. So give us a call, let's talk, and we'll explain what the process looks like. How much does it cost for you to take over my VAWA? So give us a call, let's talk first. Whenever it's already being now, what I would say here is under the rules of professional responsibility, I'm not supposed to solicit anybody who is already represented by an attorney. But what I would say here is if you are concerned about you being represented by an attorney, you're concerned about that attorney, you have a right to seek other options. I am myself wary of taking cases that have been filed already because sometimes in those cases the damage has already been done. But we've also evaluated cases and we've decided to take them on, and they've ended very nicely due to our work on in the follow up of the case. So this is where I say definitely invest, in the consultation fee to talk to us about your VAWA case, and then we can decide then whether it's best to move forward, how to move forward to get a second opinion. So it's your right to get a second opinion. All right, that's gonna be it for me today. I always love these questions. Now, there is a hurricane coming, and I'm already getting messages that school is out until Thursday. So it's going to be a rough week. So I'll try to come on. I'm going to try to come on in the chaos. Hopefully, I'll have power. I'll have internet to be able to do that. So look out for me, follow me, like, subscribe. That way you'll get notification when I go on, and you can hop on with me if you're available. If you are in Florida, please be safe. Make sure you prepare. Make sure you have your backup emergency plans. If you have to evacuate, make sure you evacuate. Because it's heading straight for the West Coast, and I believe in the Gulf. That entire area is going to get the brunt of the force there. So please be safe while you're, this week. Thanks so much as well. Thank you. I'm praying for the best. Let's all pray for the best. And I'm going to try to come on for as long as we have power. Thanks so much, Dream Queen of Hearts. As long as we have power, I'm going to try to come on. So please look out for me. Have a great one. Be safe, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's be positive. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.